The three ancient pagodas form a kind of architectural balancing act. Together, they have stood near Dali City for centuries, with pilgrims along the shoreline contemplating the scenery, a dreamlike setting for the pagodas. On the topmost level of the tallest pagoda, 4 golden-winged birds were said to sing whenever a visitor dropped a pebble. The Manfailong Pagoda is in southwestern China, where a mysterious footprint in the bedrock was thought to be the Buddha's. It's also called the Bamboo Shoot Pagoda because it resembles a clump of bamboo. Several of the figurines at the Manfailong Pagoda perform a dance imitating the courtship of the peacock. They seem nearly as real as the graceful dancer you might watch in our Temple of Light amphitheater. The famous natural features of China have been recreated for you in Florida. The stone forest has strange formations with names like the elixir mushroom and a mother and child traveling together. These limestone fantasies were sculpted by 270 million years of erosion. Unlike humans, nature is never rushed at her work. The same process created the rocky scenery along the Litian River in Guilin. These grottos and outcrops have inspired Chinese artists for centuries. The forces of nature have attacked the Jiaozhou Bridge since about the year 600. This graceful single-arch span has withstood rain, snow, and 8 earthquakes. All that and 11 wars besides. The 17-opening bridge is a fine example of Chinese architecture. In the replica at Splendid China, the imperial party crosses the bridge for a holiday outing. Good times seem to require plenty of support personnel. The Summer Palace was established in the Qing dynasty, then reconstructed in 1903 by the Empress Dowager Tutsi, who dipped into Navy funds to get the job done. At court, the Empress doubtless enjoyed ceremonial displays of martial arts, but none finer than these at Splendid China. Your journey through Splendid China passes towers and pavilions as lovely as the brushstrokes in Chinese writing. The Tungbang Tower and the Yellow Crane Tower, named for a live bird reputed to have flown out of a painting made long ago by a Taoist priest. The Wind and Rain Bridge and the Drum Tower dominate the village of the Dong minority people. A drum atop the tower announces important village events. The Dai people in their villages live in bamboo houses with thatched roofs. When it rains, the thatch swells and seals out the drips. The Water Village in southern China may remind you of Venice. Doorways open onto picturesque canals, which serve as the streets and lanes of the village. The Mongolian people of northern China are mostly nomadic, living in circular tents called yurts. As herdsmen, they have a rugged life, but once a year they gather for a nadam, or fair, where they trade wares, sing and dance, and compete at horse racing and wrestling. The Mongolian exhibit at Splendid China features lively animated figurines to recreate these ancient sporting games. In a way, Splendid China is a nadam that never ends. People from far and wide come together for fun. Everyone plays, even the audience. A time for dancing and a time for dying. Good character does not preserve a man from death, said the Taoist philosopher Zhuangzi. In the spring of 1974, 1,500 meters east of the Qinshuang Mausoleum, a farmer digging a well found evidence of 3 huge vaults containing 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers, war horses, and carts. This was the greatest archaeological find of the century. The soldiers are said to be an offensive battle group heading east to conquer the next world. The underground terracotta army at Splendid China matches in miniature the original in the tomb, right down to the mustaches and ferocious scowls. At Splendid China, you can also visit the mausoleum of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the farmer's son who fought to overthrow the emperor and unify all Chinese. Never in the days of the empire were ordinary people permitted in the imperial palace, also known as the Forbidden City. Here the emperor lived with his family. Completed in 1420, the palace has 9,999.5 rooms and was occupied by emperors of the Ming and Qing dynasties. Today, it's the Palace Museum, open to the public. The magnificent model at Splendid China features an emperor's wedding, attended by thousands of colorful and courtly guests. Another ancient mystery is the Potala Palace at Lhasa in Tibet. Even in miniature at Splendid China, it seems massive. For Tibetan Buddhists, it's the holiest of places. Traditionally, the enormous tapestry of the Buddha kept in the palace is unrolled only once each year, a rite of spring called the airing of the Buddha. Monks from the palace and pilgrims from far away come here for the event. Some dress ceremoniously as demons, since Buddhism in Tibet absorbed many of the practices of primitive religions. As if by magic, you travel swiftly by tram from the far corners of China back to the streets and gardens of the water city, Suzhou. Set amid artful arrangements of rocks and flowers and water, these shops at the village offer you the chance to take home a precious bit of Splendid China. Intricate silk embroidery is performed by Chinese artisans before your eyes. Down through the ages, the Chinese have raised this art to perfection.